Is that a type of dinosaur?
No, unfortunately.
Oh.
Serpent's Coil.
Guess what? It's the Sarah's capital city.
This seems like a good place for us to be.
It's not so bad.
Are they not gonna? Okay, yeah. Here we.
That one is.
This is what I expected. You know, I was kind of figuring like, surely they would be hostile to us.
Nah, only certain ones.
Did he just?
We need to take down the establishment from the inside out.
Did he just steal some of our gold? By the way,
No, did he?
it looked like he did.
Yeah, I think some of the earlier enemies had that sort of ability as well. Oh God. Yeah, those types of that type of attacks enemies can do in RPGs is like, why you gotta do that? Why you gotta include attacks like that?
I always love when I'm playing like a JRPG or something, and the enemy attacks me, and then they steal like a potion that I had or something. It's always like it's infuriating in Final Fantasy games, for example, because like the enemies that steal your items commonly run from combat like on their next move. So like so you need to try and kill them before they run if you want to get your item back.
Well, would you say that's kind of similar to Demon Negotiation, where they're like, you give them an item and they're like, okay, bye.
Well, I mean, it's a fundamentally different mechanic, obviously.
But the result's the same.
Yeah. Most of my experience with Demon Negotiation is from Persona 5, which is
I don't know how they changed it up then.
It's not. I mean, it has it, which is more than can be said for the other Persona games. But it's not quite the same as like what little amount I saw out of SMT4.
Yeah, but my main experience with Demon Negotiation is also with SMT4 and Apocalypse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... I don't believe... I haven't played the game in a while, so I actually don't remember exactly, but I don't believe that in Persona 5, like, monsters...
can just take shit from you and run away?
Yeah, I don't think that they'll just, like... when you start negotiating with them, I don't think they just, like, ask for an item and then just peace out.
Okay, well... That's common in SMT4.
You can piss them off and have them like attack you again rather than joining you or whatever.
Yeah, that's the whole point of negotiation.
Yeah, because I do believe that some might ask for money. And you can, like, if you don't want them to join you or whatever, you can ask them to give you money as well. But yeah, I don't think there's any, like, they ask you to give them an item and then they're just like, all right, later.
I remember when I got my first experience getting cheated in a Demon Negotiation in SMT4. It's like, aw, I gave you so many health items, money.
Yeah.
I lied to you a few things, made me look like an idiot, and you just peace out. Awesome.
I prefer not being cheated out of items, yeah. But,
well,
you know.
At least you're given the option to cheat yourself. So I think that's a good balance.
Yeah, the difference with, you know, the mechanic as it works in, like, Final Fantasy is that enemies specifically have attacks that just like steal your items from your inventory.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I'd never have just straight up, oh, things going through inventory. Awesome.
They don't usually steal anything that's actually like super valuable. And again, like if you kill them, you get the item back anyway.
Okay.
But yeah. I've lost more than a few potions over the years to those sorts of enemies.
Can't get your potions stolen if you don't buy any.
You also have 480,000 gold.
I'm gonna need that later.
You're single-handedly ruining the economy of this world.
I've yet to see a game where like it reacts to the amount of money I have in my pocket.
They really should.
Because like in Persona 4, I was like running around this tiny village with like as a millionaire.
Yeah, and like in like Dungeons and Dragons and like video games based on kind of Dungeons and Dragons systems, there's usually a very specific set amount of money in the game that you can actually acquire. So it's like when you get like when you're running around with hundreds of gold in your pocket, like you're pretty much the richest person in the game world at the time. And it's like the game just doesn't care at all about that.
I can actually think of one game that has ever like there is some effect depending on how much money I had acquired, and that's Stalker. Are you aware with like one of like the endings you can get in Stalker?
I mean, it depends on.
Well, have you played Stalker?
No, like I know a bit about some of the Stalker games just because I've watched.
Does the name Wishmaker or Wish Granter, like,
nah,
mind you? Okay. Well, basically, there is this supernatural phenomenon hidden in Chernobyl called the Wish Granter or Wishmaker, whatever, whichever one. And basically, it has like 6 different bad endings, all to do with that thing. And all you have to do is approach it, and depending on the factions that you're in and like how many people you've killed, stuff like that, you get a different bad ending. The idea is to ignore the Wish Granter and then actually do your mission.
Sure.
And all the bad endings are supposed to be like ironic. So, for example, if you've acquired, I think like at least 50,000 whatever currency you have in that game, then you start to like hallucinate money being showered on you, but it's actually the building around you collapsing and you get crushed to death.
Welp.
So yeah, that's the only instance where having too much money actually does something in a game.
And even then, that's not really like the economy of the game reacting
exactly,
to.
Yeah. But that's the closest one I can think of.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's better as just like an interesting idea rather than an actual game. But like, yeah, the idea of your character running around, just like beating money out of everything you run across, and then becoming the most rich person in the entire world, and leaving the rest of the world utterly destitute.
Yeah, I think it's even worse for like post-apocalyptic games like Fallout. I think like I believe most players of Fallout are hoarders, and they just grab whatever they can until they run out of carry weight.
Yeah.
And then when they reach the nearest vendor, they just sell whatever crap they have.
Yeah.
And I assume the economy is super broken for a lot of people's games in Fallout.
That is... one thing that I kind of flip-flop back and forth on in games is whether or not merchants should have unlimited gold. Because it doesn't, logically it doesn't make a lot of, oh, well, what's this? Cutting myself off.
So this Air have evolved from a different lizard species.
Huh.
And they're called the Argur. It's good that I'm reminded of the word Argur, because that's going to come up in a future episode.
The Emperor can't be right.
He's a bad guy. We're taking him down.
Yeah. So it doesn't make logical sense that merchants in video games would just have as much money as they need, like you can get from them.
Well, you have to. Well, it's either realistic a way do you want your game to be realistic, / do you want your game to be balanced? And if you don't want either of those, then just give them unlimited, like whatever.
Yeah, and like I think that Divinity Original Sin kind of hits what I view as like an acceptable middle ground, at least, because the merchants in that game tend to have enough gold for like to compensate you for whatever you're trading with them. And especially because the game has like a barter system in the first place, so you don't always even need to use gold in your sales transactions in the first place. But from what I can recall, the game does periodically update like what merchants have in their inventory. Like I think it's like periodically when you level up or something. And I think that like gives them slightly more gold sometimes. I don't recall exactly. But like the merchants have a specific amount of gold that you can completely drain them of their gold if you have enough stuff to sell to them, basically. And I kind of appreciate that.
Is there like dialogue that reacts to them being getting cleaned out?
I haven't actually tested that, to be honest.
Because like knowing Divinity Original Sin, I assume there would be.
It is one of those games that would be likely to kind of note that sort of thing.
Divinity Original Sin and Undertale are the only games.
Yeah, I haven't actually tried myself. I believe I have cleaned out a few merchants every now and then, but I haven't tried to sell them something after, because it also, like, merchants are perfectly willing to just take your items if you don't try to trade for an equivalent item or money. Like, if you put your item in the sell area and don't match gold or try to trade barter with them, they will generally be like, yeah, sure, I'll take that. Because I mean, why wouldn't they?
What I appreciate with I guess shopping systems in games is a buyback option.
Yeah,
I don't want to accidentally sell something and then, oh shit, I have to buy it back, and it's, oh crap, it's
10 times the price
now.
Yeah,
10 times even. It can be that high. And what I don't appreciate, and even though it would make sense in the game's lore, but I dislike it when certain items have different values depending on which vendor you're at.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I want to get rid of this stuff, but if I go over here, then I can get more money out of it. And basically the reward is, okay, well, I'm spending more time just so I can get more money.
Yeah, that's usually mostly relevant in games where they actually have kind of an economic system built around trading, which is where it would make the most sense.
Remove your sense of belief, whatever it's called, and just make it more convenient for the player. I don't really care how realistic it is.
Well, yeah, it depends on what the game is going for, really. If it's like a JRPG like Final Fantasy or like a game like this, I don't think that it would be beneficial in any way. Because at that point, it's mostly just inconvenient. But when it's a game like a space sim or like a 4X strategy game or something, like,
say those are two genres I barely play.
Well, yeah, and managing economies is kind of an integral part of the gameplay in those games. So having more in-depth kind of economic trading systems is part of the point.
Well, I don't really care about economy.
Well, it's a good thing you don't play those kinds of games then.
Yeah. Why do I have Civilization? Oh, it's because they were heavily discounted. That's why I got them.
I actually do like 4X games, but because I prefer science fiction and fantasy over like historical settings, the only reason that I have any of the Civilization games is because I got them through like Humble and stuff like that.
I've bought, I think 3, 4, and 5 just because they were discounted, and then got 6 because of Humble that 1 month, and I got given Beyond Earth, because even if that was discounted, I probably wouldn't have bought Beyond Earth with my own money.
But yeah, I have Age of Wonders 3, Endless Legend, Endless Space 2. I love those kinds of games, even though I'm really kind of bad at them, just because I'm bad at strategy games.
You can still enjoy games even if you're shit at them.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people on the internet don't seem to recognize.
Yeah, I know a few people who like Dark Souls, and they haven't even finished a full playthrough of it.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Like me when we did our recording of it originally.
Did you like Dark Souls despite not finishing it?
Yeah, I was a huge proponent of the game, even though I had initially quit at the Crystal Caves. I still loved what the game did and what it was going for and everything about it. It was just that.
Did you wish the game was easy?
No.
Easier?
I just wished that the Crystal Caves didn't have invisible fucking platforms. Because fuck invisible platforms.
Just because I'm memorizing where they are.
No.
And even then, if you're super struggling, especially to the point where you stop playing for months, then just bring up a map.
Yeah, every time I've gone through that area, I've just used a map for reference. I don't like the Crystal Caves.
I think even now, I haven't played Dark Souls 1 since we did the LP. I could probably still memorize where the area is.
Getting to Seath the Scaleless isn't awful, but because the first time I went through there, I wanted to obviously get the Titanite slab. That was a huge pain.
Mm-hmm.
So And also
Don't
just
worry.
like constantly needing to run back through all the uh, invisible pathways to try and get the Moonlight Greatsword if you like couldn't do that for whatever
the
reason.
tail cuts there for Seath and Calamite especially is like,
Yeah.
even I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Who am I even trying to impress?
And then like it took me. I might have actually talked about this during our LP or something. I can't remember anymore.
It
but,
was
like,
2 years ago.
Yeah, it took me like probably 5 or 6 tries to get the Moonlight Greatsword from Seath the Scaleless, and then like immediately after I got the Greatsword off of him, I killed him like right away because the fight itself is not that bad.
6 attempts isn't that bad actually.
It was
For your first time, that's actually pretty good.
it was a huge pain in the ass.
Oh, I know. It's a good thing they removed it in the later games.
Like I appreciated it as a mechanic.
Oh yeah, it just wasn't done very well.
No.
It's like, nah, just leave that stuff to Monster Hunter.
Ugh, Monster Hunter.
Oh yeah, you're excited for the PC port of
I-
Monster Hunter World.
I can't afford it though.
Do you
Unfortunately.
have the console version?
No. I wanted to wait for the PC version to come out because I knew like even back then they were like, "Oh yeah, we're going to release it for PC eventually." And yeah, now it's like I have to if we finally got an announcement, I mean it'll probably be out by the time these videos come out. But we finally got an announcement for Monster Hunter World on PC, and I'm not going to be able to afford to buy it until like a month and a half after it comes out.
Oh no, you're gonna miss out on those events.
Well, the problem is more that by the time I'll be able to afford it, I won't have the free time to play it.
Right, okay.
Because by the time I can afford it again, I'm going to be in classes again. And so I'm not going to have any time to play video games anymore.
Oh. Oh no.
Yeah. Truly the struggle of the wayward millennial.
Well, at least while you're, next time after you don't have any more classes, the game would be heavily discounted by then.
You
don't have to buy it right away.
I'm probably going to anyway, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I want Monster Hunter so bad.
That's what I do for like. As of right now, there are 175 games on my Steam wish list.
Is that all?
And some of them, that I think I have more like niche taste than you do.
I mean, I have some super niche tastes. It's just that
I meant like you probably like more games than I do.
I have a very wide variety of super niche tastes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have I have a small variety of niche tastes. But yeah, like some of the stuff on my wish list has been on there for like over 2 years now, and it's like,
oh yeah,
it's still waiting on that 75% discount.
It'll
happen one day.
Like I've had games on there since like 2015, I think is the oldest one left now. Most of the things like that are usually because I'm not so interested in them that I want to get them.
Yeah, there have been very few series of games where I'm like, gotta buy it day one. Like the only ones that have reached that pinnacle is Dark Souls and Zero Escape. and there hasn't been one since.
And even then, it's just like there are a lot of titles that I'm just I put on the wish list because they look interesting enough for me to try them eventually, but you know that eventually doesn't need to be necessarily in the near future.
I just need to try to not die.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it should be fine.
But like, yeah, it took me, you know, as much as I liked, you know, Tomb Raider 2013, it took me until Rise of the Tomb Raider was like $20 before I bought it, because games are expensive. Like, man, I absolutely love that to get the quote-unquote full editions for like Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Hitman 2 and like all these other new games that are coming out in the near future. Like, if you want to get the purported, you know, full version of the game, it's up here in Canada at least like $130. And like
American.
No, Canadian. But that's still like 110 US.
I'm surprised by that because Canada is like pretty big on games.
Well, it's just the price differential.
Yeah, but like compared to, well, maybe not America, it might not be the best comparison, but like compared to, well, the UK. I think games are cheaper in the UK. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I bought a game day one here.
The exchange rate is roughly equivalent. It is generally slightly more expensive in Canada than in US, because like a US $60 game translates, well, exchanges to roughly 75 Canadian dollars. And the base price for a $60 US game in Canada is $80 Canadian. So
yeah, and I was saying, because like the games industry, you got a lot of games developers located in Canada.
It's
I thought there would be like a more thriving market there.
No, it's nothing like that. It's just that we get completely screwed over by exchange rates.
Okay.
It's the same reason that Australia has to pay like $120 for a game, because
before I understood that, because Australia, at least the government, are pretty like they're not so big on games.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the government, because like the prices are set by the stores. Mm-hmm. Like the price is set by Steam. That's why the game costs $80, because that's what Steam sets the price at. Like, that's what the developers and the publishers and the store itself are all like, yeah, this is the price. And it's nothing to do with the government. It's just the exchange rate of US dollar to Canadian dollar making Canadians pay more.
Maybe you should move out of Canada.
With the way that the US is right now? Hell no.
Well, I wasn't suggesting the U.S.
I can't afford to move to Europe. In fact, technically speaking, I can't really afford to move back to the States. Like, at least not by myself. But yeah, I would never be able to afford moving to anywhere in like Europe or the UK or Australia or anywhere.
Any English-speaking country.
Pretty much.